Good morning and welcome to the Berks County Board of Elections. Today is April the 30th. It is 11 a.m. and we will call the meeting to order. I'm going to start with the public comment notice, and I will ask Stephanie to please read the notice.
Public comment will be accepted in person and through the Q&A function. Please include your first name, last name, and municipality for all comments. Any comments without name and municipality will not be considered. Each citizen can submit one comment. Comment length is dictated by limitations of the platform being used, Teams Q&A. In-person comments will be accepted first, followed by comments submitted virtually. The meeting comment period is limited to a total of 30 minutes, including both in-person and virtual comments. This time period may be extended at the county's discretion. Please be concise. Comments that are germane to county business will be read during the meeting and should not be considered to be interactive dialogue. The county shall be the final arbiter of whether a comment is germane and should be read. Any response to public comment will be done at the county's discretion.
Okay, thank you, Stephanie. Now I'll move to the approval of the minutes from April the 16th election board meeting. Are there any changes or additions to the minutes? If none, the minutes stand approved as presented. We'll now move to public comment on agenda items, and we do have one person to provide comments on the agenda items. That is Christina Worley. Christina, if you want to come up, state your full name, municipality, and you have 3 minutes, and she will be providing comments on item number 4 in the agenda, which is the Kumru 5 Mosaic Church polling location.
My name is Christina Worley. I live at 3 Flint Ridge Drive. I live in Kumru Township. And yes, I am here to discuss Kumru 5. I want to personally thank Ann Norton for the effort she has placed into finding a more appropriate polling location than Mosaic Church. I personally have witnessed the movement going on during election time, the peak times of during at Kumru 5. I can't emphasize, and Ann knows this, okay? This is an accident waiting to happen. Okay, then the question is who is liable? Is the church liable or is the county liable? I don't want this. We've talked about this, going in and out of it. There is no restrictive parking in order for visibility going into the church and out of the church. East Wyomissing Avenue is a heavily traveled road. So that we can confirm that. I did offer a suggestion and asking the county to think outside the box. And I recommended that the South Campus be used as the polling facility. Kumru 5, okay, except for the corner where it is located in Moulton Borough, Kumru 5 surrounds the South Campus building. It has everything that is needed as line parking, lighted, handicap accessibility. It's safe. So I can emphasize, I want to make Kumru 5 a safe voting precinct. And I know that, like I said, all of the effort that has been done by Ann to secure a good spot. But now I know it can't be done for the primary, but I am seriously asking that the general election is going to become, there will be twice as many voters, and you all know that, versus the primary. But please consider thinking outside the box and moving Kumru 5 to the South Campus. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Christina. Do we have any public comment online? None online for agenda items. Okay, we'll start with the agenda items. Number 1 is the approval of the permissible date range for absentee mail-in ballot segregation for the 2026 general primary. And we'll be approving the dates of April 20th through May 19 as a permissible date range for the voter included dates on the outer envelopes of the absentee and mail-in ballots received for the 2026 general primary for purposes of ballot segregation. Why April 20th? Because that is when the over-the-counter voting started. So that was the first date that a ballot was issued here in the county. And May 19th, obviously, is election day, so there could not be anything dated after that.
I'll make a motion to approve the permissible date range for absentee mail-in ballot segregation for 2026 general primary of April 20th of 26 through May 19th of 2026.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments? If none, all those in favor?
Again, probably mentioned this before and I just don't remember. If a date is wrong or if there's no date, what do we do? What's the process again for that?
So any ballots that come in with either an incorrect date or a no date, those voters receive an email generated from the Shore system that their ballot is in a pending status due to that issue. Currently, per the law, and Cody can correct me if I'm wrong, we are able to count those ballots. But we do want to give, as of now, we do want to give voters the opportunity to come in and correct it just in case the law would
Okay.
change.
Thank you.
That is important. We've had 2 instances where after instructions were given, either that the date didn't have to be there in 2022, a week and a half before the election, the Supreme Court changed that. And so people got themselves in, well, they didn't do it. It was done to them. And then 23, I believe it was, a couple days before certification, the Western District Court, which is now governing this decision, said you had to count undated ballots. And that year, I don't think any county met the certification deadline because they had to go back. They're all segregated and that's in this motion, that we're still segregating, and we're doing that because the law hasn't been touched. The law still says shall be signed and dated. We're getting kicked back and forth from different court decisions right now.
So as of now, it will be counted, but even if it's incorrectly or undated, but want to make sure if something should change before the election that people had the opportunity to correct it if they entered it by mistake.
And that's what we've always done.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
None opposed. Motion carries. Item number 2 is the discussion of purchasing 2 ES&S DS950 high-speed scanners for potential decision of moving forward with purchase. A couple meetings ago, we had discussions around the purchase of the DS950s. We discussed what they were, why they're important, the need for them. But at that point also, we decided to put a hold on deciding anything due to pending, possible changes that were coming up in reference to using machines to count versus doing hand counts. So we decided to put a hold on that, but it's being brought to the table today again to have some discussion around this to see if it's something we want to move forward at this moment or if it's something that we still want to continue waiting on. So I guess we're just having discussion. So does anyone want to bring up
I'm going to
something
make a
around
motion that we move forward with the purchase of the high-speed scanners for use in the general election for purpose
Okay.
of discussion.
I'll second it.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second for purposes of discussion to move forward with the purchase of the 2 ES&S DS950 high-speed scanners. Any discussion?
The reason I believe this is important, if we recall last general election, part of the issue was driven by a 2-page ballot. But we ended up going a lot longer or later into the night and early into the morning because we didn't have any alternative to a faster methodology. I believe that you need to make the decision now and not wait till we get jammed in a major election. And that's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with the midterms. We need to be able to provide vote results in a timely fashion. Last year was the first time I think that's happened since 2020. 2020 was a whole different ballgame and was a lot longer, but it changes the numbers, and people aren't ready for that when you have a slug of stuff coming through at the last minute. So I think making that decision now makes a whole lot more sense than waiting for what is likely to be even a rougher's the wrong word, a more significant turnout of need to count ballots than even last fall. Last fall was an off-year municipal election.
I would agree. I think we've seen those in action, and they're efficient, they're fast, and I think that helps quick and get the results a little bit quicker, maybe dispel some of the concerns that are out there about the elections being rigged or whatever it might be. So I support it.
Okay. Also, I had discussion with Ann and Cody around this week as well. The last time we stopped, it was to say, okay, do we want to wait and see what will happen at the federal level to see if we should actually move forward with this or not? My discussions with them, it's the federal level, it's kind of stuck there right now. Even if it does move forward, it could be, as we've seen in many of the other things before that, litigations which have halted things. So if we put it on hold and say, well, let's wait another 2 months, I don't really think that will change anything at the federal level. It could at that point then hinder the purchase, the delivery, and the training and the preparation of this equipment for the November election. So therefore, I support this as well. So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If none, all those in favor of purchasing and moving forward to purchase signify by saying aye. Aye. None opposed. The motion carries. We'll now move to item number 3, which is discussion and decision as to whether to amend the election workers' oath to include a ban on using prediction markets to bet or wager on election outcomes. Now, just to be clear, this would be to amend the election workers' oath, not the poll workers' oath. The poll workers' oath is set statutorily, and that cannot be changed by the election board, only the election workers' oath.
I'd like to make a motion that we adopt the additional language banning the use of prediction markets, bet or wager on election outcomes. And I'll comment.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
So there's 2 things here. One, and I'm not going to say the name of the app right. I don't gamble, so Calic or something like that is one of the models they're talking about. Delaware County just, I believe, unanimously adopted this change to their oath. We're in an environment, and I don't know how you feel, Dante. We've talked about this, especially sports gambling, but gambling from when I was a kid, I kind of remember when Atlantic City was starting to grow, and that's where you went. And if you wanted to gamble, you went to Atlantic City. Then the lottery came to Pennsylvania. Then casinos came to Pennsylvania. And look, I'm not telling people what they should or shouldn't do, but right now we're betting on whether or not Kyle Schwarber walks on his next at bat. We're betting on all kinds of things. This is in your face. And we need to make it very clear that the integrity of our elections, our poll workers need to understand they can have nothing to do with this. Is it an issue? Ask yourself this question. In the last 6 months, we've had cases of NBA players being indicted not for throwing a game for themselves, for throwing a game for somebody that was a friend that was betting on the game to help them win $100,000. it's pervasive, and we don't want this anywhere near our elections. So I don't want somebody working, in this case, as an election worker that has bet or is in any way engaged or involved in this type of activity working on our elections, period.
Any other comments?
Yeah, if I may quickly, when I first heard about this, I thought, no, we don't really need to do this. But the more thought I gave, I really think it's important to the integrity of our process. I think it's maybe not the same, but I think it's like if you're on a baseball team and you bet on your team, this could be something similar to that. If you're working the polls and you made a significant bet on somebody winning or losing, would anything happen? Probably not. But just that illusion of that occurring is not good. And with the focus on our elections so significantly higher than it's ever been, I think it's important that we put that in and we require that. So I would support that. Yes.
Yep.
I
Right.
will say this, I believe Delaware County is the first in the Commonwealth to do this. I commend them. I read the article and sent it to Ann and Cody and said, I think we should at least look at this. And since then, everything that I've read and looked at has reinforced my belief that it's the right thing to do.
Yep. I agree with my colleagues as well. I think it's important to maintain election integrity. Again, it may not affect an outcome, but at least it's there to say this is something that we are against. So totally agree with that. And after we vote on it, I'd like to ask Cody to, if you have it with you, Cody, to read what the poll workers oath is in the statutes. If you don't have it, if you want to go looking.
He has it right there.
Yeah, okay. All right, well, let's vote because we're not voting on the poll worker oath, but rather on the election workers oath. So all
Do you
those,
have both there?
They're very similar.
Yeah.
Our election worker oath
Suggesting
tracks
what
the
it
poll
would
worker
be.
oath.
I'll read what it would be.
What it is and what it would be, so people are clear on exactly what
The
we're voting
election
on.
worker. So let's read the election workers oath, Cody, what it is and what it would be.
Part of the discussion.
So the election worker, I think
want
Anne
me to read it?
has the
Yeah.
election worker oath.
So what it currently says is I do hereby swear or affirm that during the pre-canvass and canvass of votes cast by mail-in or absentee ballot for the May 19th, 2026 general primary, I will discharge the duties assigned to me impartially and will not knowingly or intentionally violate any provision of the election code or otherwise engage in any fraudulent or illegal activity whatsoever, and that I am not directly or indirectly interested in any bet or wager on the result of this election.
That's the way it would read.
Correct.
No, that's the way it does read.
Correct.
This is
Wait.
adding there's prediction technology is
That's
what's
what
in
it currently reads.
That is the current
Okay.
oath,
So
right?
what will it, or should it read? Shall we pass this?
If I'm understanding correctly, we would change the ending to say that I am not directly or indirectly interested in any bet or wager or prediction market related to this election or primary.
Okay.
Yeah, there's new tools and I think the industry's hiding by calling them prediction.
Mm.
They're not even calling them games. They're calling them prediction tools,
It's like
but it's
skills
another
of,
way to bet.
Yeah.
It's kind of
skills
like
the game.
skill games
Yep.
versus slot
No
machines.
skills
Yeah.
do it. But okay. So all in favor of adding this to the election workers oath signify by saying aye.
Aye.
None opposed. The motion carries. And Cody, so just for our knowledge, can you read the poll workers oath, which is set by statute?
Again, so the oath for the judge of election, and there's also a section for the inspectors as well, says the following shall be the oath for each judge of election. I, John Doe, do swear or affirm that I will, as judge, duly attend the ensuing election or primary during the continuance thereof, and in cooperation with the inspectors, faithfully carry out the same, that I will not give my consent to the admission of any person to vote, except such that I firmly believe to be registered and entitled to vote at such election or primary. according to the provisions of the Constitution and laws of this Commonwealth, and that I will use my best endeavors to prevent any fraud, deceit, or abuse in carrying on the same, and that I will make a true and perfect return of the said election or primary, and will at all times impartially and faithfully perform my duty respecting the same to the best of my judgment and ability, and that I am not directly or indirectly interested in any bet or wager on the result of this election or primary.
Okay. Thank you. Just wanted to clarify again, difference between election workers oath and the poll workers oath. Okay, we'll now move to item number 4, which is the Kumru 5 Mosaic Church polling location. And that is what Christina Worley was talking about in her comments at the beginning of the meeting. And we'll have an update and discussion on the polling location for Kumru Township Precinct 5. So, Ann.
Okay, I can start this off. After the November election, we were made aware of some concerns that Ms. Worley had regarding the current polling location for Kumru 5 Mosaic Church. And we did work with the church. They're very happy to be a polling location. There was some concern over the parking. As she mentioned, the parking lot is not lined so that when voters were coming in, spots were lost just because of the way they were parking. The church was very willing to work with us again, and they said, hey, as we do on Sundays, voters, poll workers, poll watchers, anyone that's there is welcome to park on their lawn as well. So we will increase the parking a little bit that way. In the meantime, I said we would continue to look into other polling locations for this precinct. And our office looked at about 8 other locations that I shared with Ms. Worley. And for whatever reason, a lot of them were not available, didn't have the right layout, or, weren't interested in helping us out. So I did respond to Ms. Worley a few weeks ago, and I let her know all this information. And as she mentioned, she suggested using the South Campus as a polling location. And again, she knows that we can't change it at this point for the primary, but she is correct. We will probably have double the amount of voters in November. And I know that Cody has a few concerns legally with using the South Campus.
Yeah, so that's correct. I discussed this with Ann and took a further look at it. My main concern with the South Campus currently is the election code contains a provision regarding polling places and other buildings, and it states that no election shall be held in any of the following, and it gives a list of 8 different locations, but 2 of those locations are an office building or private residence of a candidate for political office, or an office building or private residence of an elected official. Given that there is a magisterial district judge's office in the South Campus, I would have concerns that we would be getting close to that prohibition of a building of an elected official or a building of a candidate for political office during the years that MDJ's office would be on the ballot. Also, my other concern would be voters would be going to the South Campus, and in election years where that office is on the ballot, they may, now there is a back entrance, but some may go through the front entrance and pass right by the MDJ's office. There would also be deputy sheriffs there at the drop box on that day, which brings in considerations about police officers within 100 feet of a polling place. So for those reasons, I would have concerns from my end. I don't know that it's a per se prohibition, but it's something that I would prefer to avoid if we could. So.
So just one question. If we put in crystal clear signage and sent people to the back entrance and set up inside the large meeting room, when you go in that side entrance, I think it's the first or second door on your right. Do you think that would obviously get rid of any issue with the sheriff's deputies? How far away must you be from elected officials? And the reason I raise that is people are voting in this building. They're voting by mail, but nonetheless coming in, because I just did it last week, getting their mail-in ballot, sitting down and voting, and they're elected officials in this building. Now, it's not a polling place per se, but they're voting. So I'm wondering if we are able to, because I agree, there's no way you would want people to go in where the drop box is, or right where the MDJ's office is right there. That to me is problematic. But here on the first level, there's no interaction, there's no connection to elected officials.
Yeah, it's a good question. I think my response would be twofold. First, in terms of the individuals doing the mail-in voting downstairs, the section of the election code that talks about that talks about no election shall be held in any of the following. To me, I don't know that it hasn't been interpreted through case law. I don't know that that would be considered a quote unquote election, whereas having a polling place in a building would definitely bring that prohibition into consideration. My other concern is, and I looked at the case law to see if there was any interpreting case law regarding what building of an elected official or candidate for political office. There's no specific clarity, unfortunately, by the courts in that regard. It would really be what the definition of building is. I do think it's significant that it specifies the difference between office and building. If it just said office, I would be less concerned. It does say building. So I think it's really a risk tolerance consideration. And while we could direct people to the back of the South Campus clearly, I think they would still probably pull in off of Wyomissing Avenue there, which I believe has signage. I don't know if it has the specific name of the judge outside of the building, but it does still have the signage.
MDJ, and it also has signage to the drop box, which could confuse people. Drop box polling place.
It's not started, it's also on the precinct.
Correct.
Yeah.
And that historically, I mean, Kutztown University is the great example. For several years. That precinct, because of issues with the KU location, were held at Maxatawny Township Building out of precinct. And we've done that. There may actually be some right now that are out of precinct because there's no viable option.
Yeah.
So.
And I would just add, I know Ann and her staff are working diligently to look at potential alternatives. If there would be a potential alternative, I think that's probably the way to go. If there's not, we can, re-explore the option of the South Campus. Because as was mentioned earlier, this wouldn't be a change made for the primary, but potentially for the general. So.
Yeah. My recommendation is let's have election services continue to look at options, and then we can bring this back further. It's not something we need to decide on today or next month. Something we'll need to decide on in the near future, but I'd like election staff to be able to look at different options and bring those back to us before making a decision. Okay. All right. We will now move to the election director's report.
Okay, so we have almost 19,000 voters' data sent to our printer for mail-in or absentee ballots. They have sent out 18,000 of them. We're expecting the other almost 700 to be mailed out today or tomorrow. We've received a little bit over 2,000 of those ballots back already. So that process has started. Just as a reminder, the deadline to register to vote or change voter registration ahead of the primary is Monday, May 4th. Deadline to apply for a mail-in or absentee ballot is May 12th at 5 p.m. Anyone interested in poll workers being a poll worker can contact our office. We are currently in pretty good shape, but we always know we have last minute dropouts. So anyone that is interested could certainly let us know.
We need poll workers and interpreters as well.
Correct.
English and Spanish. So
Be happy to hear from either of them. Yes.
if you are bilingual and want to serve in the elections, please reach out as well. Also want to make a reminder, I remind this every week, but the in-person polling, over-the-counter polling, you're not voting on a machine. It is it's a mail-in ballot. You come in, you complete the application. You're given the application, you can complete it right there, put it in the envelopes and return it, or you can take it with you, complete it at your home, and then mail it back. So you're not going to be voting on a machine. It is a mail-in ballot that you are getting. Take about, if there's no line, 15, 20 minutes to do everything. If there's a line, it'll take longer. So please come in with that mindset that you may be waiting a little bit to go through the process to get a paper ballot, to vote it, and either return it there or take it home and mail it in.
And does it speed up the process if you give them your driver's license?
Yes, it does speed up the process if you
That's
provide
what I did.
ID, yes.
And then the other thing is, if you're going to do that, do not complete a mail-in ballot request beforehand, because that will delay the process. You'll fill it out when you come here to vote. Okay. Any other comments?
So I was just going to add to that, that's available until May 12th, when the application is no longer acceptable.
Okay, thank you very much. Comments from the board? Our solicitor, do you have anything to add?
I can just give a brief update on a recent elections-related court decision that was issued. So there was a case, Honey v. Lycoming County, and it involved a request for a right-to-know request for a cast vote record, which in short is a spreadsheet that displays raw voting data associated with each precinct. The case went all the way up to the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. And the PA Supreme Court issued a decision earlier this week. And it's a fairly detailed decision, but in short, the main arguments regarding the cast vote record not being a public record was that it represents the quote contents of ballot boxes, which is exempt from disclosure under the election code, and the CVR is the digital equivalent of that. The other concern was that the CVR could potentially violate the constitutional right to secrecy in voting. The Pennsylvania Supreme Court, as I said, issued an opinion earlier this week and essentially found that the CVRs are not the contents of ballot boxes, and that under these circumstances in Lycoming County, which utilizes a different election vendor and has a randomized CVR, that the CVR in that instance was a public record and could be produced. But importantly, the court recognized that under certain circumstances, it's possible that a county's method of generating CVRs may violate the secrecy mandate. And really, that's a question to be addressed on a case-by-case basis. So it's a good ruling from the sense that we have clarity on the issue. It's not definitive in terms of saying all CVRs will always be public records, but there are circumstances where they could be. There are also circumstances where the secrecy in voting could be implicated, specifically with regard to the smaller precincts where you only have a finite number of voters, and you could potentially determine based upon other public records how a voter voted. So all considerations to keep in mind as we move forward, and if we would receive a request, it will be reviewed and responded to accordingly.
Was that a unanimous? That was unanimous. Was that a unanimous?
There was a concurring opinion, but no dissent. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Cody. We'll now move to public comment. We have one public comment in person. It is Jeff Wolf. Jeff, go ahead.
Good morning. My name is Jeff Wolf, and I'm from Brecknock Township. So unless the election board already made an agreement with ES&S to purchase the DS 950 before or after the March 19th election board meeting, this remains a purchase that, in my opinion, should be put off indefinitely or reversed for the main reason that was discussed at that election board meeting, which was the possibility of the SAVE Act being passed, which would restrict or limit or prohibit the no excuse mail ballots. Now, the rationale for the purchase was compromised, crumpled, creased, or stained mail ballots, which cannot be fed into the DS-450 high-speed scanner without issues, including the need to rerun the batch. So I do see the problem there. The total cost for the DS-450s, and this is a big purchase here, $110,700 for the two pieces of equipment, and post-warranty fees were $8,600. So anyway, it's a great purchase. So in my opinion, the election board should reconsider this decision. You could have the team that physically removes mail ballots from the privacy envelope in the central processing could set aside ballots which they cannot flatten or are in other ways compromised, which would necessitate the need for some human adjudication at a later time. And those ballots could be secured precinct by precinct in an envelope and clearly marked. Because of the public mistrust of machines for some people, not all, in terms of tally manipulation and the potential of an unnecessary investment, the board should reconsider. Okay. In the primary, we're going to have less of a volume. We already discussed that. Similar to the way that the 2% audit is done, you could have two-person teams, which are bipartisan, adjudicating the voter's intention on physically compromised ballots. And they, of course, would be under oath. You could pay them $200 per diem, if that would be a 10-hour day, whatever. So, and I'm talking, I would guess 4 people could do that. In my opinion, we need to move from a dependency on machines and AI and what we cannot see. Instead, we need to increase citizen participation, voter participation in every stage of the election process. I personally trust someone I can see eye to eye and converse with more so than a voting machine in which hundreds of people who we cannot see have been and are involved in designing, manufacturing, servicing, coding, and uploading and download data, information, and so forth. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. Do you have any comments online? Okay, nothing else in person, nothing else online. That concludes the public comment period.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we adjourn.
I'll second that.
The meeting is adjourned. Thank you.